breaking overnight, disturbing details, a new jolt to President-elect Donald Trump's defense secretary pick, as Politico puts it this morning. For the first time, we are now seeing the police report at the center of a sexual assault allegation against Pete Hegseth. With Hegseth's nomination already facing scrutiny, the report in graphic detail now reveals conflicting accounts of what happened in a hotel room 7 years ago. Sarah Murray has been pouring through the 22 pages of this police report, and you lead us off this morning. What are the details that you are hearing, knowing that they are pretty disturbing?
Yeah, it is disturbing. And, you know, this police report really does give conflicting accounts of what happened this evening in October of 2017 in California surrounding a Republican women's conference. And I want to get to the woman's account first. She's referred to as Jane Doe in this police report. She says she encountered Hegseth at this conference. He was giving off a creeper vibe. She says she ends up in a strange hotel room, and when she's there, Hegseth took her phone from her hands and he blocked the door with his body. She went on to say she remembered saying no a lot. Now, there was a lot she couldn't recall, and she said she believed something may have been slipped into her drink, although there were other witnesses who said when they saw her, she did not seem to be overly intoxicated. There were also conflicting accounts from witnesses at this conference about an interaction that this woman had with Hegseth at a bar at the hotel. One person said that Hegseth was hitting on another woman, and Jane Doe arrived to be a, quote, crotch blocker to stop him from hitting on this other lady. A different conference attendee said it appeared that Jane Doe and another woman were flirting with Hegseth. At any rate, a few days after this incident took place in the hotel room, Jane Doe does go to seek medical attention. She gets a rape kit. She tells the hospital that she's not sure if there was any penetration, but she believes that she was sexually assaulted. And then a nurse there reports it to authorities. Now, this is a very different account than what Pete Hegseth gave to authorities. He describes an evening of consensual sexual intercourse. He says that this woman, Jane Doe, ends up in his hotel room. He found it kind of odd that she stuck around, but they became intimate. And he tells authorities there was always conversation and always consensual conduct. He said that he and Jane Doe discussed that she was married, and she said she would tell her husband she had fallen asleep on the couch in someone else's room. He also told authorities she showed early signs of regret, although he didn't describe what that means. Now, Timothy Parlatore, an attorney for Hegseth, said that this police report confirms what I've said all along, that the incident was fully investigated and police found the allegations to be false, which is why no charges were filed. Now, we do have to note the police report does not say that these allegations are false. It is true that there are no charges that were filed in this case, and there is other evidence that could help shed light on what happened. There's surveillance video. There's a memo from the district attorney's office that would kind of outline why they decided not to bring charges in this case. Those have not been released, and we don't expect them to be released. Authorities have cited state law, saying that they're going to remain private. We should also note that earlier, Parlatore, the Hegseth attorney, did say that his client paid a settlement, an undisclosed sum, to this woman, and there was a confidentiality clause as part of this. The woman did not comment to CNN. When we contacted her last week, she did break down in tears.
Sarah Murray, a lot of complications there, a lot of different sides of that story, but the details disturbing in and of themselves. Appreciate it. Kate?
And we are standing by, Sarah, today to see Pete Hegseth on Capitol Hill with J.D. Vance at his side. And also standing by to see what key Republican senators think about his nomination after they hear from him, and also see the new details about the alleged sexual assault that he denies happened. CNN's Elena Treen has new reporting on this today for us. She's back with us. Elena, what are you learning?
Well, first of all, I think today is really a key test, both for Hegseth, who, of course, is going to be confronted with a lot of what Sarah just laid out, a lot of Republicans in the Senate who are going to be vital to ensuring whether or not Hegseth can get confirmed. They're really going to have to see whether or not they are comfortable with having him serve as the head of the Department of Defense. So it's a big test for him. It's also a big test, of course, though, for J.D. Vance. He has been tasked directly by Donald Trump to bring some of these controversial nominees or potential nominees and appointees to the Hill to have these meetings with these key senators. And really, whether or not Donald Trump can get his preferred cabinet picks confirmed is really going to be a test of J.D. Vance's influence. And what we've learned in some of our new reporting today is that Donald Trump has directly asked J.D. Vance to kind of be his point person on Capitol Hill. Yes, he has others who are going to be officially named as the liaison to Congress, but J.D. Vance has been someone that he has asked directly to, one, help him with these cabinet picks, but also to ensure that they stand behind him on a lot of his agenda. Donald Trump firmly believes that he has a mandate that he was given. Other people question if that's true because he had won the popular vote and because of the results of the election. And he wants J.D. Vance to make sure that now that they have majorities in the House and the Senate, that they move forward with what Donald Trump wants to do and don't get in Donald Trump's way. So this is a test of that. And we also saw that, of course, yesterday when Vance kind of paraded Matt Gaetz through the Senate halls as well for these important meetings. And all to say as well, I think when it really comes down to it, there's a lot of questions about, whether some of these nominees, whether Matt Gaetz or Hegseth could kind of be viewed as the sacrificial lamb. I've heard some people argue that perhaps, they are being used as a distraction so that Donald Trump can fill the rest of his cabinet. When I talk to those close to Donald Trump, they tell me that that is not the case. He really wants, particularly with Matt Gaetz, to be his attorney general. He wants Pete Hegseth to serve at the Department of Defense. And so I think this is going to be a huge test for them today, and really how we see senators and Republicans respond to how these meetings go.
Yeah, and
Kate?
it's also just a dangerous game to play, a risky game to play if you go along the line of putting someone in thinking they, might not get through, they could be the sacrificial lamb. It's just with the positions we're talking about in cabinet level positions, it's just dangerous if you really don't want to get them in and you're okay seeing them, seeing how it plays out. It's good to see you, Elaine. Thank you. John.
All right, with us now, CNN Senior Vice President and Washington Bureau Chief David Chalian. I left out Legion of Honor member and Tony Award nominee. David, thank you so much for being with us. First, what do you think that these allegations mean for Hegseth's nomination, the status of that nomination?
Well, listen, I think there are a couple questions that get raised here. I don't know. We don't know the answer to the status of the nomination, John. We certainly have not seen senators come out and Republican senators say officially, I'm a no vote no matter what. So I don't think we know what the outcome of the nomination will be. But I do think we know a couple of things. One, the reporting suggests that the Trump transition team was sort of blindsided by this, had no idea that this allegation was out there and existed. And so that's not a good place to start when you already have the president-elect and his team with the nomination out there unaware of this information coming out. So it begs the question, is there other stuff out there or is this it? And can this be managed? That's one. But two, I don't think this story is necessarily done. I mean, Sarah told you in the reporting, some things are going to, due to state law, remain private. We now have this police report. It is not unlikely that we're going to get more details of this as this nomination process moves forward, and whether or not those details make it more difficult for senators to support the president-elect's choice here remains to be seen, but it's not going to be an easy road, obviously.
No, and again, the Trump team apparently blindsided by this. And it brings up the issue of transparency, which is being criticized by some from the right. I mean, the Wall Street Journal yesterday published an op-ed on Pete Hegseth saying it was unfortunate that the Trump team didn't know about that. And today they have a new editorial about Matt Gaetz, the Attorney General nominee, saying the Senate has every right to demand to see the report on Matt Gaetz before confirming his nomination. It's one thing to keep sort of details private when a lawmaker accused of misbehavior is chastened enough to resign and go back to private life. This looks more like an effort to dodge accountability by getting a promotion. The Rupert Murdoch-owned Wall Street Journal, David.
Yes. I think this editorial today on Matt Gaetz from the Wall Street Journal editorial board is fascinating because it's basically a memo to Republican senators. Also in this editorial, John, it says to the senators, the president-elect has every right to put his trust in whomever he wants to serve in these roles, but that the editorial board reminds senators it is their duty to decide on behalf of the American people if these people should be trusted in these roles. And so I think we are going to get to a really interesting political conundrum for Republican senators real fast here, John, because President-elect Trump obviously had a very decisive victory. He has wind at his back as he moves into his second term as President of the United States. And there is a new majority of 53 Republican senators in the Senate. The question is, are we at the very outset of this administration going to see just Republicans fall in line and give President-elect Trump the team that he wants, irrespective of any of this? Or are we going to see these Republican senators set at the outset, basically say to President-elect Trump, we have a role to play here too, and it doesn't mean as a co-equal branch that we are always going to be completely aligned with you. And I think watching how that dynamic plays out is going to define sort of the Republican Party era of Trump 2.0.